What do you think, sir? I had gone out to see a man I knew, and when I came back in the evening, the first thing I saw was Emanushkia. There he was, sitting on my box, and his check bundled beside him. He was sitting in his ragged old coat, waiting for me, and to while away the time, he had borrowed a church book from the old lady, and was holding it wrong side upwards. He'd scented me out. My heart sank. Well, thinks I, there's no help for it. Why didn't I turn him out at first? So I asked him straight off, "Have you brought your passport, Emilushka?" Em Emelian Emelianushka. I sat down on the spot, sir, and began to ponder. Will a vagabond like that be very much trouble to me? And on thinking it over, it seemed he would not be much trouble. He must be fed, I thought. Well, a bit of bread in the morning, and to make it go down better, I better buy him an onion. At midday, I should have to give him another bit of bread, and an onion, and in the evening, onion again, with kvass, with some more bread if you wanted it. And if some cabbage soup were to come our way, then we should both have had our fill. I'm no great eater myself, and a drinking man, as we all know, never eats. All he wants is herb brandy or green vodka. He'll ruin me with his drinking, I thought. But then another idea came into my head, sir, and took great hold on me. So much so that if Emelianushka had gone away, I should have felt that I had nothing to live for, I do believe. I determined on the spot to be a father and a guardian to him. I'll keep him from ruin, I thought. I'll wean him from the glass. You wait a bit, thought I. Very well, Emelianushka. You may stay, only you must behave yourself. You must obey orders. Well, thinks I to myself, I'll begin by training him to work of some sort. But not, well, thinks I to myself, I'll begin by training him to work of some sort, but not all at once. Let him enjoy himself a little first, and I'll look around and find something that you are fit for. Emelianushka. For every sort of work a man needs a special ability, you know, sir, and I began to watch him on the quiet. I soon saw Emelianushka was a desperate character. I began, sir, with a word of advice. I said this and that to him. Emelianushka, I said, you ought to take a thought and mend your ways. Have done with drinking. Just look at what rags you go about in. That old coat of yours, if I may make bold to say so, it is fit for nothing but a sieve. A pretty state of things. It's time to draw the line, sure enough. Emelianushka sat and listened to me with his head hanging down. Would you believe it, sir? It had come to such a pass with him. He'd lost his tongue through drink, and could not speak a word of sense. Talk to him of cucumbers, and he'd answer back about beans. He would listen and listen to me, and then heave a sigh. What are you sighing for, Emelian Ilyitch? I asked him. Oh, nothing. Don't you mind me, Asta Ivanovitch. Do you know there are two women fighting in the street today, Asta Ivanovitch? One upset the other woman's basket of cranberries by accident. Well, what of that? And the second one upset the other's cranberries on purpose, and trampled them underfoot too. Well, what of it, Emelian Ilyitch? Why, nothing, Avasta Ivanovitch. I just mentioned it. Nothing. I just mentioned it. Emelianushka, my boy, I thought you'd squandered and drunk away your brains. And do you know a gentleman dropped a money note on the pavement on Grohovy Street? No, it was Sadovy Street. And a peasant saw it and said, "That's my luck." And at the same time another man saw it and said, "No, that's my bit of luck. I saw it before you did." Well, Emelian Ilyitch? And the fellows had a fight over it, Astava Ivanovitch. But a policeman came up, took away the note, gave it back to the gentleman, and threatened to take up both the men. Well, but what of it? What is there edifying about it, Emelianushka? Well, why, nothing, to be sure. Folks laughed, Astavani Ivanovitch. Ah, Emelianushka, what do the folks matter? You've sold your soul for a brass farthing. But do you know what I have to tell you, Emelian Ilyitch? What, Istafi Ivanovitch? To take a job of some sort. That's what you must do. For the 100th time I say to you, set to work. Have some mercy on yourself." What could I set to, Vasty Ivanovitch? I don't know what job I could set to. There's no one who would take on me, Vasty Ivanovitch. That's how you came to be turned off. That's how you came to be turned off, Emelianushka, you drinking man. And what? And do you know Vlas, the waiter, who was sent for? And do you know Vlas, the waiter, was sent for to the office today of Hnst Ivanovitch? Why did they send for him, Emelianushka? I asked. Jesus, all these names going back and forth. I could not say why, Vasty Ivanovitch. I suppose they wanted him there. That's why they sent for him. Ach, thought I, we are in a bad way, poor Emelianushka. The Lord is chastising us for our sins. Well, sir, what is it to do with such a man? But a cunning fellow he was, and no one mistake. He'd listen and listen to me, but at last I suppose he got sick of it. As soon as he sees me, I'm beginning to get angry. He's picking up his coat, and out he'd slip and leave no trace. He'd wander about all day and come back at night drunk. Where he got the money from, the Lord only knows. I had no hand in that. No, I said, Emelian Ilyich, you'll come to a bad end. Give over drinking. Mind what I say now. Give it up. Next time you come home in liquor, you can spend the night on the stairs. I won't let you in. After hearing that threat, Emelianushka sat at home that day and the next, but on the third he slipped off again. I waited and waited. He didn't come back. Well, at least I didn't mind owning. I was in a fright, and I felt for the man too. What have I done to him, I thought. I've scared him away. Where's the poor fellow gone to now? He'll get lost, maybe. Lord, have mercy on us. Night came on. He did not come. In the morning I went out onto the porch and looked, and if he hadn't gone to sleep on the porch, there he was with his head on the steps and chilled to the marrow of his bones. What next, Emelianushka? God have mercy on you. Where will you get to next? Why, you were sort of angry with me, Vasty Ivanovitch, the other day. You were vexed and promised to put me to sleep in the porch, so I didn't sort of venture to come in, Vasty Ivanovitch, and so I lay down here. I did feel angry and sorry too. Surely you must undertake some other duty, Emelianushka, instead of lying here guarding the steps, I said. Why, what other duty, Vasty Ivanovitch? You lost soul. I was in such a rage. I called him that. If you could but learn the tailoring work. Look at that old rag of a coat. It's not enough to have it in tatters. Here you are sweeping the steps with it. You might take a needle and boggle up your rags, as decency demands. Ah, you drunken man. What do you think, sir? He actually did take a needle. Of course, I said it in jest, but he was so scared he set to work. He took off his coat and began to thread the needle. I watched him, as you may well guess. His eyes were all red and bleary, and his hands were all of a shake. He kept shoving and shoving the thread, and could not get it through the eye of the needle. He kept screwing his eyes up, wetting the thread, twisting it in his fingers. It was no good. He gave it up and looked at me. Well, I said, this is a nice way to treat me. If there hadn't been folks by to see, I don't know what I should have done. Why, you simple fellow, I said it to you as a joke, as a reproach. Give over your nonsense. God bless you. Sit quiet and don't put me to shame. Don't sleep on my stairs and make a laughing-stock of me. Why, what am I to do, Vasty Ivanovitch? I know very well I am a drunkard and good for nothing. I can do nothing but vex you, my benefactor. And at that his blue lips began all of a sudden to quiver, and a tear ran down his white cheek and trembled on his stubby chin, and the poor Emelianushka burst into a regular flood of tears. Mercy on us! I felt as though a knife were thrust into my heart. The sensitive creature! I'd never expected it. Who could have guessed it? No, Emelianushka, I thought, I shall give you up altogether. You can go your way like the rubbish you are. Well, sir, why make a long story of it? And the whole affair is so trifling, it's not worth wasting words upon. Why, you, for instance, sir, would not have given a thought to it, but I would have given a great deal, if I had a great deal to give, that it would never have happened at all. I had a pair of riding breeches by me, sir, deuce take them, fine first-rate riding breeches they were too, blue with a check on them. They'd been ordered by a gentleman from the country, but he would not have them after all, said they were not full enough, so they were left on my hands. It struck me that they were worth something. At the second-hand dealer's I ought to get 5 silver roubles for them, or if not I could turn them into a pair of trousers for Petersburg gentlemen, and have a piece over for a waistcoat for myself. Of course, for poor people like us everything comes in, and it happened just then that Emelianushka was having a sad time of it. There he sat, day after day. He did not drink, not a drop passed his lips, but he sat and moped like an owl. It was sad to see him. He just sat and brooded. Well, thought I, either you've not got a copper to spend, my lad, or else you're turning over a new leaf of yourself. You've given it up. You've listened to reason. Well, sir, that's how it was with us. Just then came a holiday. I went to vespers, and when I came home I found Emelianushka sitting in the window, drunk and rocking to and fro.